Now, there are things to be looked at differently. At first, there was a very low sense of pride, generally among the black population. That sense of pride was strong among the elders, very lukewarm among adolescents, and among the kids, there was very little or no importance about it, and the sense of black pride was non-existent. Ever since this celebration began, and we have to add the efforts of uh, Joyce Sawyers as the head of the St. Mark's Medicational Center, whose presence as directors created a very strong effort in rescuing, training, transmitting black culture and black heritage, so much so that they had all types of groups representing black culture. And this effort of Ms. Joyce, which could have lasted 12 or 15 years, made it mandatory among other public schools to have something similar in stressing um, black history, black heritage, cultural practices, and that the 31st of August was the date in which all of this training was expressed publicly. So the parades managed to build on a horizontal level a sense of pride, prestige, and a legacy on the 31st of August, which from just being a simple parade has transformed itself to be a very historical date. Because one of the maximum accomplishments has been the participation of all groups in the country, especially black groups, but not only Afro-descendant groups. There is a wide participation of professionals, school teachers, unions in this parade. And through their participation, identified by the colors that they use in the uniforms that they dress in for the parade, all of them, it's not just a style taken out from a book, but also the investigation of where that style came from, who practiced it, and each one of the participants of these groups, after taking part in the parade, are knowledgeable in small but important contents of Black history as a whole. So these changes have been accomplished through, as I mentioned before, a very important role that the Black Ethnic Civic Committee has played in organizing these parades. But behind these parades, there has been a lot of information, of knowledge, investigation carried out on all levels before the parade happens in itself. The parade then is the culmination of different disciplines among Black people, which has managed to build a strong sense of pride, of heritage, but also to know about our roots. This is what one could say is what we have accomplished through the celebration of the 31st of August so far.
I want to thank you very much for the time. And I don't know if you have anything else you would like to say before we close.
Yes. One of the things that has impressed me recently, the last year or two, has been the pride, especially among Black women, with the issue of their hairstyle. At some time, there was the explanation of what the cane rose history was about. The cane roll was not just an hairstyle, but among the slaves in the United States, it was a mixture of several things. One, it's where a map of the slave freedom route could be drawn. Second, it could be a place where things would be stored, important issues would be stored to take from one place to another. But also knowing how important funeral has been, has generated an interesting movement among Black women to go back to the natural ear. And this I have found very interesting of what the knowledge of history, its impact and its use, what it can do to a person's mind and change attitude. So there is this term that I usually like to express, that history is knowing the past to understand the present and be able to build a better future. So each time the 31st of August comes about, each time we stop and consider how bright Mosiah Garvey and the leaders were to have accomplished a human rights declaration 25 years or more before the United Nations began. And it is thought that part of the contents of the Universal Human Rights Declaration of the United Nations, part of it was because of what was expressed by the convention in 1920. So knowing that our history has a very strong and rich foundation, plus the fact that our style of life, our style of dressing is far more than just putting stitches together, has created among Afro descendants in Costa Rica, especially those in the Caribbean coast. But now we cannot refer to Afro Caribbeans only residents in the Caribbean coast. So Costa Rican Afro descendants as a whole can have at least one day in the year to be 100% proud of the heritage, the history, the accomplishment that we have been able to add to the development of this country and to build a much tolerant society as a whole. That's my message.
Thank you so much. You have said it all. Thank you so much, Mr. Barton.
You're most welcome. Anytime.
Aho, iya, aho, aho.